Let's start big picture. You've been on teams that are sellers, teams that are buyers. What is the vibe like in a clubhouse, like a day or two before trade deadline, where everyone's like, uh-oh, what's going to happen here?
Well, so this past year, when I was with the Cubs and we started getting rid of guys, Chris Bryant was gone, Javi was gone, we got rid of Rizzo. And leading up to that moment, we were still kind of in it, at least a little bit. And then once the first guy gets traded, you're like, well, shit, like, okay, now it seems like we're sellers. We might not have the ability to gain ground in the division, and everyone knows it. And it's a shitty feeling. So it takes a few days for you to kind of get over that. Man. And when the guys started leaving, like when Rizzo was traded, I mean, that was an emotional moment, as you guys could imagine, being a part of that big run with all of us. It was hard to see him go, but you kind of understand why it has to happen. It's for the best interest in the organization, but that doesn't mean it's easy for players to deal with. So it's tough. You'd rather be on the buying side when you're in like that wild card situation, kind of like the Mariners are. When you bring in a guy, Luis Castillo went to the Mariners. Like, yes. That's a huge move. So, I mean, the energy, the vibe in the clubhouse only increases. And I mean, when you bring in a guy like that, man, like your chances of maintaining the wild card or overcoming another team and getting into that wild card only goes up. So it sucks to be on the side where you're selling, but you understand it. But, when you buy and you get a big piece like that, I mean, man, the vibe couldn't be better in the clubhouse.
Yeah, so you were traded from the Orioles to the Cubs in July.
Shout out Scott Feldman.
Yeah, in July of, was it 2013?
Yep.
So was that right around the All-Star break, or were you actually like in the middle of games? Because I'm always wondering, when you get traded to a new city as a player, you have to also take into account your actual life, and you're moving to a new city, but you're also working and you're traveling and doing all this stuff with the team that takes up so much of your time. Like, what's that process like for a player getting to a new city, having to find a house or having to find a condo or something like that they're moving into?
Well, so there's so many people behind the scene. Like, you got VJ, who's the best travel secretary in all of baseball. Shout out to VJ with the Cubs. I mean, he reaches out right away and kind of helps you facilitate that process. And, I have a CPA who I've worked with since I was drafted, who I was connected to through Scott Boras and Boras Corporation. So they take care of, changing utilities and finding you a new place and helping you pack and ship all your stuff to the next city. Some guys don't have that luxury. Some guys are kind of on their own, and they have to have their mom or dad or sister, brother, or whatever help them with that. So it can be tough. But for me, I was in a situation where I was just ready to get out of Baltimore. I couldn't wait. I knew a trade was looming. I didn't know where I was going to go. But when I got the phone call that I was traded to Chicago, I'm like, let's go. Like, this is like, it couldn't be a better situation for me. And what happened after that, for the next 3 or 4 years after I was traded, I mean, it's kind of a storybook ending. But yeah, it's a difficult process, but you have to have a support system, and most people do, that can help them find a place to live. Or, I mean, some guys stay in a hotel from the moment they were traded until the end of the season. And, sometimes that's the best way to go.
That to me sounds like that'd be fun. Just like have somebody else make up your bed every day. That'd be sick.
Yeah.
Actually,
room service every night.
In my dumb brain,
100%.
The hardest part would be joining a new team and then having to learn like all these different new handshakes with every new teammate.
Yeah.
You have to like invent your own new handshakes from scratch.
Yes.
Well, and also it's like when you walk into a new clubhouse, and Scott Feldman was traded, and I know him and Samardzija were tight, and guys are like, we're bringing Pedro Strop and this guy named Jake Arrieta in. Like, why are we doing this? And I totally understand that at the time, and those guys are right for thinking that, because they lost one of their boys, even though they were in a situation where they weren't going to go anywhere in the postseason that season. So for me, when you go in, it's like, hey, let's try and build these relationships as fast as we can, get to know guys, and just be an open book, like, and I think that's the only way you can approach it, because if you're standoffish and you're quiet in the clubhouse, guys tend to not like that. So I'm shaking hands. I'm asking people personal questions about their their girlfriend, their wife, their kids, whatever it might be, just to kind of acclimate myself into that vibe as quick as possible.